Welcome to the deep dive. Today we're tackling something that sounds pretty straightforward, buying land to build your home.
Right. Sounds simple on the surface.
But anyone who's, even dipped a toe in knows it's actually, well, it's a maze of really critical decisions underneath.
It really is the absolute first step, isn't
Yeah.
it? And the choices you make right here, they just ripple outwards. They affect the house, sure, but also how you live there for, like, years.
Exactly. Yeah, this isn't just about finding a nice spot. We're talking budget impact, the whole construction schedule, your day-to-day life, and like you said, your peace of mind long term.
It's the canvas for your masterpiece, so to speak.
That's a great way to put it. This land is literally the foundation everything else rests on. Your home, your sanctuary.
And just like a builder wouldn't dream of pouring concrete without prepping the ground properly, you really need to understand the land itself. It's more than just, oh, that's a nice view.
Uh-huh. It's about the potential, but also the limitations, making sure it's solid.
Exactly. A solid base for your investment and your future.
So, okay, our mission for this deep dive is pretty clear then. We want to arm you, our listeners, with the essential knowledge to navigate this huge first step, to make really smart choices when you're looking at land.
Let's do it.
All right, so where does someone even start? It feels overwhelming.
It has to begin with you, personally. Before looking at listings, before anything else,
Yeah.
you need to ask, what kind of life am I actually picturing here?
So we're going beyond just like the scenic mountain view or hearing the ocean.
Oh, way beyond. It gets down to the nitty-gritty, the practical stuff.
Like what?
Well, what's truly non-negotiable for you? Schools, maybe. How far are you really willing to commute every day? What about access to doctors, hospitals?
Right, those real world questions.
Answering those honestly really starts to narrow down the geographic areas that could actually work for your life.
Okay, but let's be real. Sometimes that dream location, the one you picture, doesn't quite line up with the house features you want, or maybe more often, the budget you have.
That's a very common sticking point, yeah. And that's where you have to get a bit strategic. Compromise comes into play, maybe some creative thinking.
So prioritizing what's essential versus what's just nice to have.
Exactly. Might have to shuffle things around a bit.
Okay, so let's say someone has a few potential areas scouted out based on that lifestyle thinking. What's a really practical thing they can do next? Like to really feel the place.
Get out there and experience it, and not just one quick drive-through.
No.
No, go at different times. See what it's like early morning. Check out rush hour traffic. Actually sit in it. Feel the vibe in the evening. Look around. What's happening?
And listen, right? The sounds of a place.
Definitely listen. Traffic noise, neighbors, quiet. You just can't get that from a map or Zillow.
That's such good advice. You get a sense that the rhythm, the character.
Yeah. How does it actually feel at these different times? Can you genuinely see yourself living your daily life there? That gut feeling matters.
The gut feeling isn't enough, I guess.
It's important, but it needs to be backed up by facts.
Yeah.
And one of the biggest facts you need is zoning.
Zoning. Okay, sounds kind of bureaucratic. What does that actually mean for someone buying land? Practically speaking.
Zoning laws are basically the rule book for the land. They tell you what you can and cannot legally build and do there.
And that can have huge implications.
Massive. You could find this gorgeous piece of land, seems like a bargain, but then discover it's zoned only for agriculture. Meaning, sorry, no house allowed.
Wow. Okay, that's pretty fundamental to miss. What other kinds of zoning traps should people look out for?
Oh, it can cover a lot. Things like how tall your house can be, how far back from the property line you have to build.
Setbacks, right?
Exactly. Setbacks, rules about fences type, height. Sometimes, believe it or not, even the color you can paint your house exterior.
Really? Paint color?
In some specific areas, yes, it's very localized.
Yeah.
Rules change fast from one county or town to the next.
So, bottom line, just because you own the dirt doesn't mean you can do whatever you want with it.
Not even close. And critically, you need to look beyond your specific plot. What's the zoning like for the land around you? Are there plans for changes?
Okay, why is that important? What kind of future things should maybe raise a red flag?
Well, is that empty field across the road potentially going to become a big shopping center someday, bringing lots of traffic and noise?
Right. Or maybe a new highway plan nearby.
Exactly. Things that could totally change the feel, the accessibility, the value of the area.
Yeah.
You need to investigate that proactively.
So how do you find that stuff out? Who do you ask?
Your main stop should be the local county or city planning office. They'll have the zoning maps, the regulations.
The official documents.
Yes. And they should know about any approved or even proposed big projects nearby. But also, don't forget to talk to the people already living there.
The potential neighbors.
Yeah. They often have the inside scoop on local issues, stuff that's coming down the pipeline that isn't official yet. Really valuable insight.
It really drives home that need to see the bigger picture, doesn't it? Beyond just the property lines. Okay, so location fits the lifestyle, zoning checks out. What's the next layer we need to peel back?
Now we need to go deeper, literally. Below the surface, we're talking soil, utilities, and just the general condition of the site itself.
Because what you see isn't always what you get.
It can be incredibly deceiving. It looks flat and perfect, but
Okay, so land curb appeal isn't enough. What kind of hidden problems could cause trouble later?
well, first off, the ground itself, it has to actually support your house foundation,
Right.
right? For decades.
Yeah.
So soil testing is non-negotiable in my book.
What does that tell you?
It tells you how much weight the soil can bear. If you've got issues like expansive clay, that stuff swells and shrinks with moisture, wrecking foundations.
Oh, wow.
It tells you where the water table is. Too high means potential basement flooding. And, in some places, sinkholes are a real risk.
Sinkholes. Okay, definitely not something most people think about when dreaming of their porch swing.
Not usually, no. Then there are utilities, the basics. Is there power already there? Drinkable water? Natural gas?
Mm-hmm.
What about decent internet?
Crucial these days. And if those aren't already run to the property line?
It might not be a deal breaker, but you absolutely have to factor in the cost, which can be substantial, and the time it takes to get them installed. Think drilling a well, putting in a septic system.
And getting permits for all that, I imagine.
Oh, yeah. That can be a whole process in itself. These are major hits to the budget and the timeline that you need to know about up front.
That sounds like a huge potential surprise cost. What else about the land's physical state needs a close look?
You absolutely need to know if it's in a flood zone. That impacts insurance costs dramatically, sometimes building requirements too.
Right, insurance companies definitely care about that.
And the topography, the shape of the land, is it steep? You might need expensive retaining walls or a lot of earth-moving grading just to get a flat spot to build on.
Even things like the driveway, right?
Yeah.
Can you actually get up it in the snow or heavy rain?
Precisely. All these site conditions need careful thought.
It really sounds like getting professional eyes on the land early is less of a nice to have and more of a necessity.
I'd say it's crucial. Hiring a good land surveyor, a civil engineer early on,
Yeah.
that's probably some of the smartest money you'll spend in the whole project.
Why is that?
Because they know what to look for. They can spot those subsurface problems, tell you if your building plans are actually feasible on that specific site. They can save you from massive headaches and expenses down the line.
Okay, so we've got location, zoning, the physical site conditions covered. Now we get to the part that maybe makes people's eyes glaze over a bit, but it's critical. The legal and financial stuff, the paperwork.
Yeah, maybe not as fun as picking out fixtures, but ignoring this, that can be absolutely devastating. This is where you make sure you actually own it cleanly and protect yourself from disputes.
So legally, what are the absolute must-dos before you sign on the dotted line?
Number one, get a thorough title search done. This digs into the property's history to find any lien-ins, boundary squabbles, weird easements, anything clouding the title.
Things that could cause legal trouble later.
Big trouble. Also, if there's a homeowners association, an HOA, you have to get their rules, the CC&Rs, covenants, conditions, and restrictions, and read every single word before you buy.
Because those HOA rules can be surprisingly detailed and sometimes pretty strict.
Oh, they can dictate everything. Architectural style, landscaping, where you park, pets, everything. You also need to check for environmental restrictions. Is part of it protected wetlands, a conservation area?
Things that might limit where or even if you can build.
Exactly. These can severely restrict what you do with your own land.
Okay, and financially, beyond just the purchase price, what ongoing costs should buyers really be aware of?
Well, property taxes are a big one. They never go away. And rates vary wildly place to place.
Need to budget for that.
Definitely. Insurance costs, like we mentioned, especially if it's in a flood zone. And critically, access rights. Do you have clear, legal, documented access to get to your property?
You mean you could own land you can't actually get to?
It happens. You don't want a landlocked parcel. It really highlights that old saying, if it seems too good to be true.
It probably is, especially with cheap land.
Very often the case in real estate. If land is way cheaper than similar plots nearby, There's almost always a reason. Bad soil, no utilities, zoning issues, legal problems.
You got to find out why it's cheap.
You absolutely have to dig deep and understand the catch.
And if someone skips over these legal and financial checks, the worst case scenario could be.
You could end up owning land you literally cannot build your dream home on, either legally or practically impossible to develop.
Wow. That's a nightmare scenario, a very expensive piece of unusable dirt.
It is, which is why this first step is so foundational.
So bringing it all together, really nailing this land search, getting the right piece of land, it truly is the bedrock for everything that comes after, isn't it?
Absolutely. It sets the stage for the entire build.
Mm-hmm.
If you rush this or make a poor choice here, well, you could be looking at years of regret and problems.
So if you could give just one key piece of advice to our listeners starting this journey, what would it be?
Be thorough, be patient, and get your boots on the ground.
Yeah.
Walk the land multiple times, different weather, different times a day.
Don't just drive by.
No.
Right.
Spend time there and ask questions. Ask tons of questions of the agent, the planning office, potential neighbors, everyone.
Yeah, feel the ground, imagine the possibilities, but absolutely, like you said, do the homework, the due diligence.
Right. Because that feeling that this is it, feeling when you're standing there, it's great, but it needs to be backed up by solid research and knowing exactly what you're getting into.
That's where the dream starts to feel real, but on solid ground. Okay, great advice. Next time on the deep dive, we'll dig into what happens next. Working effectively with builders and architects to bring that vision to life on the land you've chosen so carefully.
Sounds good. Until then, dream big about that future home, but always, always build wisely.
Yeah.
Start with that solid foundation.
And a final thought for you, our listener, to mull over. Think beyond the obvious stuff, like the view or the square footage of the lot. How might those unseen things, the way the water flows underground, the exact makeup of the soil, how might those subtly shape your daily life there in ways you haven't even considered yet?